Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Peter. I'd like you to travel back in time with me to the 1700s, a little bit of the early 1800s, rural New England. So this is going back even before American independence. The settlers come here mostly from England, some other parts of Europe, and I do want to recognize, yes, that there were natives here at the time too, but talking about what the settlers did when they came over. And almost everyone's a farmer of some sort, right? And if you're going to have a New England town, build this town together as your settlement, one of the most important things you need to come together and build was, of course, your meeting house, the church. That's what made a place a town. But then one of the most other important things that you would need to build would be a town pound. It's usually around 30 feet square, and this isn't about stray dogs. This is about your farm animals, sheep, swine, cattle. Most animals weren't contained in pens. You'd want your pigs to be rummaging through the forest to get food. Barbed wire hadn't even been invented yet. So sometimes your animals would get somewhere they shouldn't. I mean, a lot of the times it would work out okay to have your animals loose, but sometimes it'd be bothering your neighbor's crops. So just like today, your motor vehicle goes somewhere that it shouldn't, and it might get towed, put in the impound lot, right? So same kind of thing. Your animal's causing trouble somewhere else, on someone else's property. The pound keeper's gonna come get it, put it in the pound. And then you need to pay a fine to get it back, which nominally was paying for the effort of the pound keeper to go get it and take care of your animal in the meantime. A lot of times, pounds were just simple wooden pens. Wood's got a lot of advantages because it literally grows on trees. It's fairly cheap, and they're clearing those trees out for pasture land anyway. But it does rot, it breaks. There's not a whole lot of them around anymore. The couple exceptions where historical societies have managed to restore them or rebuild them. But wooden pens, even at the time, were often insufficient, and a town would want to build one out of stone instead. Wood grows on the trees, but stone grows right in the ground. We have a lot of stone here in New England. As anyone who's ever tried to dig a trench or anything around here knows. So they called it field stone, or that's what people call it now, it's stone in your fields. You'd have to clear it out, get rid of it anyway. So they'd get piled up into these stone walls that we have all through New England now, and they'd use them to build these structures. Stone lasts a lot longer than wood, right? Sometimes some of these have been taken care of very well over the years. Sometimes they've gotten rebuilt somewhere nearby. There are some that have been demolished as development continued. But even though they're not still around for their original purpose, many are still there because stone just kind of sits around on the ground, right? So some are in better shape than others, but a lot are there. So I got interested in that. There's one of these in my hometown of Charlton, Massachusetts, and I'm interested in local history. There's this historic equals pound tag that was, documented for just this sort of thing. There was hardly any mapped in the U.S. It was documented and used mainly over in the British Isles. That's where the settlers got this idea of pounds from, as they brought it with them from England. So I thought, there's a lot of these in New England. Let me go try and find what some of them are. So started in Massachusetts. The Mass Historic Commission has this great database called Macris Online. There's all sorts of information that local towns have submitted about historic things, so search that for pounds. It has pretty decent address coordinate information. I could go try and find them on imagery. There's this book an author in New Hampshire wrote a couple years ago. He tried to visit all the town pounds in New Hampshire. So they have a description in there if it's down this road on the left, and I then try to be finding it on aerial imagery and street side imagery. Some other New England states are a little bit trickier. There's some, I'll call them fan pages online for some references, and some geocaching sites, some news articles. There's kind of some sporadic information over there where these things are in New England. Once I kind of found information about where one is, I would then need to go hunt for it, right, on aerial imagery. You can kind of make them out. Bing Street Side's got pretty good coverage even in a lot of the rural areas. There's a lot of LiDAR relief maps in the New England states as well as some pretty good imagery. Sometimes I'd be virtually driving down the road in the street side. Sometimes it was still tough. I did a couple times email a historic society asking, hey, I know there's a town pound in your town. Can you help me find it? Don't be afraid to reach out to locals when trying to map something remotely, because they'll often be happy to help. Historic societies love it when someone actually cares about what they're doing. Those of you who care about details of tags, this is kind of a typical example. There's exceptions to everything. Most walls were just dry stone laid down. I made a Wikidata entry for a lot of these. Name is a little awkward. Does this thing really have a name? But sometimes there's a sign up front calling it the such and such town pound. So I've put a name in if there was a name there. And there's a gate. Some of these gates are the original ones. Some are just a gap. So I call that an entrance because there used to be a gate there, but now there's just a gap in the wall. So up to 173 so far, which is almost caught up to the British Isles, has 189. So I know there's some more out there in New England somewhere. Thank you.